The Politics program is brought to you, as always, by Patreon.com/JURY. Had a hell of a month last month, and we're having an even better one this one. But I really want to make sure that you guys understand the value that you get when you become a patron of Patreon.com/JURY. Your own custom RSS feed. That's the biggest thing, man. If you love podcasts, you love this, you can just enter this in any podcatcher of your choice and make sure that you get everything you are owed. Don't have to worry about it. Automatically all downloads on one feed. It's the tits, man. I can't speak of it highly enough. And if you're at the $3 level, that means it's $3 per week. So do the math. You get 3 episodes of Politics per week. That's $1 an episode, baby. And it means that this super crazy world we live in, where stuff happens on Monday and then it's forgotten about by Wednesday, you get all the commentary that you could possibly want. I'm doing a show on Monday. I'm doing a show on Wednesday. That'll always be free. And then I'm doing a show on Friday for you. Go ahead and check it out. Patreon.com/JURY. And thecontender.us. We have just gotten in our sex scandal bracket mini expansions, and we didn't print a lot of these. These are limited. These are rare. They include quotes from the best, craziest, most explosive, lurid sex scandals in history, and they are yours right now for only $10 at thecontender.us. But enough of talking about how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics.
Wait a minute. We're not just going to start this the normal way. Allow me to transfer you back in time to yesterday when on my politics chat at twitch.tv/JustinRYoung, I made the following prediction. The winner in tonight's special election will indeed be Connor Lamb.
Yes. Come on.
Oh, if you down with Nugstradamus, give me a hell yeah. 2 for 2 on special elections, baby. 2 for 2 on special elections. Oh, nobody has my unparalleled record of accuracy when it comes to predicting special elections in 2018. Come on. Bring them all on. We will vanquish you on the Politics program. My name is Justin Robert Young. That was me yesterday, predicting that Connor Lamb would win. I didn't even sweat. Oh my God, I was sweating. I didn't even sweat. Oh my God, I came so close to being wrong. I didn't even blink for 1 second. There was much blinking. But at the end, it is indeed Connor Lamb that holds a butt-clenching lead over Rick Saccone to take Pennsylvania 18, at least pending a recount. Who knows exactly when and how that will happen. But what we have seen is now in 2 special elections, 2 competent candidates have beaten 2 Republicans who ran in either a state, in the case of Alabama, or a district, in the case of Pennsylvania 18 that Donald Trump won handily. Handily. Pennsylvania 18 went for Trump in the year of our Lord 2016 by 20 points. 20 points. Ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't know any better, I would say that this is the beginning of...
That's just the way.
That the Republican majority was very much in danger of...
And quietly it gets swallowed by a wave.
Because if you can't win Pennsylvania 18, then you indeed deserve to have your majority.
It gets swallowed by a wave.
I want to welcome everybody who is just now watching this show for the first time. And what I would like for you to do right now is to go to Amazon and please order the following items. You're going to need a beach towel. You're going to need some high SPF suntan lotion. And you're going to need some binoculars. Because we are right now, as I speak to you, March 14th, 2018, officially on a wave watch. Now, it's going to be more complicated than we thought. I'm just going to let you all know. Listen, big props to Connor Lamb. Pennsylvania 18 is kind of the sort of a district that you would think that Donald Trump would be able to carry. Obviously, historical trends normally suggest that whenever one party has control of the White House, the Senate, and the House, that there is going to be turmoil to regain some kind of balance. That's just normally how things go historically. But what is happening now might trigger what we are seeing in the shape of more retirements from the Republican side because they don't want to get beat. So they'd rather just leave than lose an election or, even worse, win an election where they're not really able to do anything. You got a lot of these people out here that are like, fuck it, I can just be a lobbyist. I'm just call my friend Big Tobacco and just be like, yo, you want to just pay me to talk to my friends? It'd be a lot easier than having like these asshole constituents always up my butthole about what I should or shouldn't be doing. There is a lot that could possibly go on between now and November. Hell, there's a lot that could go on between now and 2 months from now. The rumor is that there might be up to 10 retirements on the Republican side between now and then. Now, this is more for the House than it is the Senate. Senate's still going to be incredibly tough to win. Not only do they kind of have to be perfect on all of their toss-up states, they also kind of, the Democrats also have to not lose a single one of theirs that they currently have, and that would seem to be unlikely. However, let's not underestimate the fact that there is tremendous enthusiasm, and as we are going to get into a little bit later with a very, very smart emailer, there might be a little bit of a lesson learned by the blue team. Blue team has run two very smart candidates because, folks, all politics is local. No matter what, all politics are local. And Lamb and Doug Jones in Alabama both ran as acceptable Democratic candidates in very red areas. They have danced around the issues that they need to dance around. They have offered a good faith where they've needed to vote. You know, they needed to offer good faith. And listen, Saccone is not Roy Moore. All right? He's not a total garbage fire riding upon a horse named Sassy, which seems very, very, very worthy of a sternly worded letter from PETA. A garbage fire on Sassy the horse, right? That just seems... Where is Sassy? Can we get... Did Roy Moore actually own Sassy, or did he rent Sassy? Do you guys think if I emailed Roy Moore right now that we could get a picture of Sassy? Like a current picture of Sassy? I'd like to email Roy Moore and just ask him for a picture of his horse, Sassy. Oh, God damn it. Oh, Dan Wally says the glue factory. Hush your mouth, you son of a bitch. Oh, yeah, are you talking about Sassy like that? I'm gonna email Roy Moore. I just miss Sassy, man. I know there's a lot of stuff. I know Rex Tillerson's resigning, and I know that Hillary Clinton's in India talking about all sorts of wild jive, and you know, it's a busy time right now in politics, but like when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, whisper words of wisdom. Hey, what's up with Sassy? What's up with Sassy? Sassy the horse. All right, that's it. I'm going to email Roy Moore. Not right now, but I will. Somebody remind me if I forget. By the way, I will almost assuredly forget. Yeah, Putin's in trouble. That's another thing that's happening right now. I don't even know where to start. Putin's in an actual diplomatic war with Theresa May right now because the Russian intelligence agency allegedly killed an ex-spy that had defected. And then Putin pulled the initial Osama bin Laden response to 9/11. This is back when Osama bin Laden was denying that he had masterminded 9/11. He's like, well, who did 9/11? And Osama bin Laden's like, I don't know. The Jews. And similarly, Putin's like, well, then who did all these things? He's like, oh, yeah, they're probably Russians, but working from the Russian government. Yeah, maybe they were Jews. Ben Carson ordered $31,000 worth of a dining set. I kind of want to start with this story just because it's so stupid. And it's just, these are the kinds of stories that we write about when there's no actual stories. The stories that I fell in love with when I really, really, really love politics. Because normally, after an election, these are the kinds of stories that normally came out, which are like, let's dive into the minutia of the fuck-ups of the average politician. So this is what happened here. When Ben Carson became the head of the Housing and Urban Development Division, whatever. When he first came to HUD, he apparently said that there was a really shitty dining set, and he wanted to get the fuck rid of it. So apparently somebody ordered $31,000 worth of a dining set. And Ben Carson was like, I don't think that I had nothing to do with ordering $31,000 worth of a dining set. I'm Ben Carson, and my new hobby is doing ASMR. Ben Carson. Wait, CNN saying that I did order $31,000 in a dining set. Oh, bother. I apparently selected that $31,000 dining set. My HUD spokesman initially blamed the purchase on an unnamed career staffer. The secretary did not order a new table. The table was ordered by the career staffers in charge of the building. But when I was confronted with a discrepancy between my past comments and internal emails, my spokesman said when presented with options by professional staff, my wife, Candy Carson, participated in the selection of specific styles. Subscribe and smash the bell button to follow all of my Ben Carson ASMR. So anyway, that was the thing. Wake up, and now we're awake. Now we're awake. Now we're awake. This is my new. Oh my God! All right, here's gonna be my new thing. I'm gonna tour colleges and I'm gonna tour colleges and corporate entertainment. I'm gonna be Ben Carson, the hypnotist. I'm just gonna roll in and be like, "Hello, I'm Ben Carson. I want you to think of somebody that you really, really love. You're going down a dark room. You're walking down the stairs, step by step, and you're awake, and you're awake, and you're awake, you're awake, you're awake, you're awake." All right. So anyway, Ben Carson ordered a fucking shit that's too expensive because he didn't want to be embarrassed because the shit that's in there is really fucking old. And so they hired somebody to come in and they were like, "Hey, here's a table." And he's like, "Great, I love tables. How much is it going to cost?" And they're like, "I don't know. We'll figure it out." And he said, "Awesome." And then they're like, $31,000. And everybody's like, "What the fuck? How is it $31,000 table?" There we go. We just summed all that up. Enough with the Ben Carson thing. Oh, by the way, we're also going to update the sex scandals bracket. We are running the American sex scandals brackets. We started last week. Voting has already begun. We haven't done a regular episode in a while, so sorry if you did not get in on the first week of voting, but voting is open now. I will tell you where to do all that voting in a second. Spoiler alert, it'll be the Twitter handle for the contender at Contender Game. Again, at Contender Game. But let's start with the biggest story of the week that isn't Ben Carson making you fall asleep by way of his very sultry ASMR. It is the fact that Rex Tillerson is no longer your American Secretary of State. Man, did people get worked up about this when it happened. Like I mentioned before, there's already this issue between Theresa May and Vladimir Putin because this ex-spy died in Britain. And by died, I mean it was highly likely he was murdered. And that's not cool. You can't just do that. Apparently, the spy also worked with MI6, so there's apparently like a tit-for-tat kind of thing. You can't just go murdering people. So Theresa May threw 32 Russian diplomats the fuck out the country, or they have like a week to get the fuck out. And despite the fact that we have not gotten a lot of official response from the White House, Rex Tillerson came out and said, "Look, Putin did that shit." The next day, Rex Tillerson is no longer your Secretary of State. And boy, howdy, did my Twitter timeline go wild. This is proof that Trump is bought and paid for. You son of a bitch. The President of the United States is a puppet of Putin. If you believe that it's not a coincidence that Rex Tillerson talked shit about Putin and got fired the next day, then unfriend me. I don't think he got fired because of that. I honestly don't. I think, here was the reporting on it. Number one, I think Rex Tillerson leaving and being replaced by Pompeo from the CIA has been in the cards and been reported for months now. I mean, around Thanksgiving was the first time that I remember hearing about it. So I think he he kind of knew he was on the way out. Now, that might have encouraged him to say shit that would probably, in general, get him in trouble. But according to the Associated Press, Vladimir Putin, Rex Tillerson was informed on Friday that he was out officially, and it was just a matter of time for them to schedule the announcement. That announcement came on Tuesday when the President of the United States communicated the best way he knows how, via the Twitter. This was apparently where Rex Tillerson found out about his firing first. He was not alerted or given a heads up. And it was his undersecretary that came out and told the press that Rex Tillerson not only did not want to be fired, was not planning on leaving, but also did not get a heads up. That undersecretary was promptly fired, settling all the family business. Now, here's the funniest thing about everybody who's like, you son of a bitch, why isn't everybody pointing out the fact that Trump is owned by Putin? They have compromise. Because Pompeo historically is a lot more aggressive about Russia. Pompeo is the guy who, as head of the CIA, came out and said, hey, look, we will retaliate if they fuck with us. So theoretically, you are replacing Tillerson, who in general kind of had a bit of a collegial relationship with Russia. As the head of Exxon, he negotiated deals with the Russian government. He wasn't exactly a Russia hawk with a legit Russia hawk. So like that's just kind of where I kind of head scratch on exactly why everybody is why everybody's kind of immediately goes there, considering the fact that this was in the air for a while. The buzzards had been circling Tillerson for a minute. Again, is it happened? Like this was a thing. And you got to wonder whether or not this is a turning point in how we handle Russia. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. How about this one? And also everyone's like, oh, Tillerson fucking hates Trump, which I think is true. Tillerson, by all reports, called him a fucking moron and then wouldn't take it back. He made a point to go on Jake Tapper's show and say that he has his balls attached, that he was not gelded. In fact, he went so far as to say that he knows he still has his balls because he checked. Understand, one of the most low-key, underrated, awesome parts about our government is the Secretary of State went on international television and said, I looked at my balls. I have balls. I know because I looked at them. Seeing is believing, and I believe that my balls are here. Amazing. And nobody even fucking, nobody even looks at that. Oh God! All right, so we had a big win for the blue team. PA-18 goes to the blue team. We've got chaos for the red team with the Trump administration. Let's talk about some bad news for the blue team. How about that? Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren are getting all up in each other's business. That's a thing that's happening right now. Elizabeth Warren's on the warpath. Offensive to say? Maybe. Elizabeth Warren is sending smoke signals. Now I'm just going to keep doing it. Now I can't think of any other metaphor. I'm just going to keep tripping into these. I literally can't say the first 7 things that just came into my head. I literally thought of like 7 different jokes about Elizabeth Warren, and all of them are offensive. All of them. All of them are things that will take the show in a direction that I really don't want to take it. So Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren are fighting. Can I just say this about Elizabeth Warren? All right, Elizabeth Warren went on TV on one of the shows, and they asked her, "Hey, look, seems like as if you might want to, you might have aspirations for bigger things. There is this lingering issue that came up with the Scott Brown election that you at some point lied about being Native American. It's the reason why people call you Pocahontas. If you have aspirations for higher office, can you just like take a DNA test just to put this to bed? Like at some point, no matter how ridiculous the claim, can you just do something that shuts it up?" She's like, "No, I will not do that." And I don't necessarily blame her for not doing it, but I do think that if she can't answer that question without more questions arising, then she's not ready for prime time. Because also, by the way, I think that in a world where we are now judging apologies, if Elizabeth Warren came out right now and said, "Hey, look, when I was in college, there was some family lore that I never really followed up on, and I probably made too big of a deal about it. It's hung around my campaign. It's not not affecting any of the issues that I really care about, including these banks that are running roughshod over the common man. So let me just say this. I fucked up. I fucked up back then, and I fucked up not just saying I fucked up any of the time in between now and then. I think it's offensive that this is all being brought up. I just want to let everybody know this is a thing that happened. Because if you own up to it, if there's one thing that we have learned in the last 2 years of politics, is that saying that you did a thing back in the day isn't exactly the end of the world. In fact, you can kind of own it. I don't know if she can really own it, but she can say she fucked up and move on. Because now you give your supporters something to say when these charges kind of get brought up. Sonic Fear in the chat, good point, says she's not ready for prime time. Duh fuck. Trump is president, and you're going to spout about Warren not being ready for prime time. Look at this. Here's all I'm saying. Anything you could throw at Trump, he had an answer for. And he had an answer that fired up his base. I don't think that Elizabeth Warren saying, "I won't take a DNA test," either answers the question or fires up her base at all. I think that's the difference. The difference is not necessarily in experience. The difference is, hey, look, 2020 is going to be a fucking a twisted metal style roller derby. Like, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be awful. It is going to be a bloodletting, the likes of which we have never seen. It will be a carnival of violence where nothing but blood and sinew will be spread from sea to shining sea. This will be a festival of carnage. And if you are not here for the fight, then you need to get the fuck out. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that anything she's saying is true. I'm not saying that anything she's saying is false. I'm saying if you ain't here to play, then get the fuck off the field. And saying that you're not going to take a DNA test is effectively saying nothing. So she's fighting with Chuck Schumer. This is boring now. I can't go from Festival of Violence to Chuck Schumer wants Elizabeth Warren to calm down. Midway through Elizabeth, this is a Politico article written by Burgess Everett, Alana Scoyer, and Zachary Warmbront. Midway through Elizabeth Warren's fire-breathing campaign to tank bank deregulation bill backed by more than a dozen Senate Democrats, Chuck Schumer invited her into his office. Warren had just sent a fundraising email blasting fellow Democrats who supported the legislation, and Senate Democrats had just had an ugly caucus meeting at which the rift over the measure was laid bare. And now, Schumer wanted to hear what was on the mind of one of his most prominent senators, according to a person familiar with the conversation. Quote, "This is what I said I was going to do," end quote. Warren told the Senate Majority Leader in a lengthy conversation last Wednesday. The person said, "Chuck Schumer said it. Chuck Schumer's the source. This is why I ran for Senate. Schumer didn't tell Warren to stop attacking the bill or to dig in. It might be Warren, too. Schumer didn't tell Warren to stop attacking the bill or to dig in, but he urged her to focus her opposition on the bill's policies, not individual Democratic senators. You want to know why? It's because they are trying to operate the and you can't have a wave if you have people that are shitting on each other. Everybody's got to be on the same page. It can't be about the establishment versus the upstarts. It can't be about, anything but blue team, blue team, blue team. That's what it, look, fuck 2020. You want to build your rep for 2020, can you please at least not shit on individual people, many of which have to run for their seats in 6 months? Speaking of somebody who isn't going to be running for anything anytime soon. Oh, the Hill Dog. It's been a while. It's been a while. Let's go ahead. Come on. Give me it. Where my Hill Dogs at? Ho, ho, ho. Where my Hill Dogs at? Ho, ho, ho. Hillary's on a tour. A tour of India. And she's getting a little feisty. She's getting a little fired up. She's getting a little all up in everybody's business. This is a Hill article. Democrats are angry that Hillary Clinton continues to discuss what went wrong during the 2016 presidential election against President Trump. Even some of Clinton's own former aides and surrogates say that the former Democratic presidential nominee should back away from the discussion about her failed campaign because it's harmful to the party. During a conference in India this weekend, Clinton called states that supported her in the election more economically advanced than the states that backed Trump. The remarks reminded many of the former Secretary of State's comments in 2016 that some of Trump's supporters fit into a basket of deplorables. In fact, you want to know what? Don't take my word for it. Let's go ahead and find it ourselves, huh? She also fell. Here we go. This is Hillary Clinton in India. States I won are moving forward. States that Trump won are looking backwards. Here we go.
United States. There's all that red in the middle where Trump won. I win the coasts. I win, Illinois and Minnesota, places like that. But what the map doesn't show you is that I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. So I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward. And his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You didn't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs. You don't want to, see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. Whatever your problem is, I'm going to solve it. So
Okay. So let's go ahead and get back to the problems that people are having with it. Quote, she put herself in a position where Democrats from states that Trump won will have to distance themselves from her even more, said one former senior Clinton aide, and that's a lot of states. Said another surrogate. Quote, she's annoying me. She's annoying everyone as far as I can tell. Who lets her say these things? Quote, we need leaders to look forward to 2020 and how to unify the party, not to relitigate the past. So let me ask you guys. And this is a point that I brought up today in my free newsletter that you can sign up for free because it's free. Did I mention it's free? At tinyletter.com/Justin Robert Young. 5 days a week, you get my top 5 political stories and commentary and silly gifts. Did I mention it's free? tinyletter.com/Justin Robert Young. How much is the newsletter? Asked Stoic Squirrel. I will tell you, it's free. Don't worry, no charge, absolutely free, intensely free, ridiculously free. tinyletter.com/Justin Robert Young, 5 days a week, political newsletter. It's not 3, it's free. With an F. Do you think that Hillary regrets not doubling down on the basket of deplorables? And I ask you this for this reason. It seems like she's really into talking about this kind of stuff still, to the point where an outside observer would believe that, like, okay, this is probably something that she thinks about a lot still. And now in hindsight that we know more about kind of the full anatomy of that Trump campaign, it seems like the way that you fight fire with fire is by not apologizing. Is by saying, look, yeah, I said it. I said basket of deplorables. Now, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about these voters. I'm talking about the awful people. And if you're going to stand up and say that you're awful, then you want to know what? Fuck off. Yeah, I said it. I'm Hillary Clinton. Fuck you. If you're a deplorable, fuck you. And guess what? I want all my, if all y'all are going to be chanting lock her up, then I want all my people to be pointing at you and saying you're deplorable. That's what I want. This catchphrase has gotten over, and instead of having it be Yankee Doodle dandied by the other side, I am going to own it. Because it's what I believe. And guess what? Now you can turn one of her biggest issues, which is that voters don't really feel like they know what she really stands for, and say, guess what? Here's what I do stand for. Fuck you. If you're not down with me, I got 2 words for you. Deplorable basket. Yeah, the Reverend Buck. Yeah, you're a basket of deplorables. Change my mind. And she's sitting there drinking her coffee. I wonder. Now, I don't know whether or not it would have been a better way to go about it, but she still seems like she wants to ride this hobby horse. So I'm just curious. If I could ask her any question, I would say, look, would you be a little bit more gloves off? Because I wonder if she looks back at that scenario and says, God damn it. Why did I try to, the whole when they go low, we go high. Fuck it. Just go get nasty. Like if it was gonna be a mud fight, why am I the only one pretending like I care that my clothes are dirty? Learning EXP said it's a can't-win situation. The phrase that paints her as an elitist, no matter what she did after, wouldn't solve that problem. Yes, and Donald Trump's, everything that anybody wanted to stick to him, he steered into the skid. He's a conspiracy nut. I'm going to talk about Benghazi every single speech. that he's out of touch with everybody because he's so opulent. He's going to talk about literally how much is on his bank receipt every single speech. John Bams asks, are you asking that one side didn't fight dirty? No. I think both sides fought dirty, and oftentimes the Democratic side can have other people carry the water for some of the nasty stuff. But there was an authenticity problem for Hillary, and there always has been an authenticity problem for Hillary. And part of what made the basket of deplorables thing go so viral so fast was because it felt like a moment for the other side, for the red team, to be like, I knew it. I know this is what you say about us behind our back. I think she could have flipped that script by saying, yeah, and now I'm saying it in your face. That's what I'm curious about. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Write into me. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Because I'm curious about that. I wonder if she regrets not being more bare-knuckled in the way that she conducted herself. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the American Sex Scandals bracket. We have two votes that are now decided. Four that are decided. These were in the gay division. We had James Buchanan versus Jim McGreevey. Let's see if we can bring up this bracket here. Probably should have had all of this previously set up, but I didn't because I am a real silly goose. All right, Jim McGreevey versus James Buchanan. Jim McGreevey will be advancing. Jim McGreevey, of course, the New Jersey state or the New Jersey governor who got embroiled in a sex scandal because he had put a boyfriend of his in a very important security position post 9/11, despite the fact that the man had literally no experience other than being Israeli. And also wound up getting into a little of a kerfuffle because his wife his wife went to court saying that she never knew he was gay. This was rebutted by their driver, the wife and the governor's driver, who said that they all regularly engaged in bisexual orgies called Friday night specials. They beat James Buchanan. James Buchanan, there we go. James Buchanan was quite possibly the first gay president. He had a boyfriend named William King, who they were initially going to run together. I mean, I guess they would know they were a couple. I don't know if anybody else would know that they were a couple. But unfortunately, Aunt Fancy and Miss Nancy will not be advancing. Jim McGreevey advances to the second round over James Buchanan. Congratulations to Mr. McGreevey. In the other matchup in the gay bracket, we had FDR and Larry Craig. Man, this was quite possibly my favorite first round. Not says his wife didn't know he was gay because he was bisexual. That's complicated by the fact that during his resignation press conference, he announced himself as a gay American. So maybe that was it. Maybe he just, like I mentioned in the American Sex Scandals live show that we did, McGreevey just took the long way round the Kinsey scale. One of my favorites that we found in our research for this American Sex Scandals bracket was FDR. Yes, that FDR. I repeatedly said that he was on Mount Rushmore during the live show. I have no fucking idea why I said that. That was the wrong Roosevelt. FDR, in his youth as a Navy secretary, decided that he was going to root the homosexual element out of the Newport, Rhode Island town that the naval base was at. And they came up with a brilliant scheme. Here was the brilliant scheme. The brilliant scheme was, we're going to find Navy sexy, military-grade fuck machine sailors to go into these dens of sin and find out where the gays are at, have gay sex with them, then come back and say, all right, which one of these fellas had gay sex with you? And that's exactly what they did. And then they realized, hey, wait a minute. I think that quite possibly all the guys that volunteered for this might be gay too. So then they started to try to court-martial them. It became a gigantic national scandal. FDR had to leave the Navy, and his first act as a private citizen was to accept the Democratic Party's vice presidential nomination. Ooh la la. He matched up against Larry Craig. You might remember him as Mr. Wide Stance, went into a known gay cruising bathroom at the Minneapolis International Airport. He was met by a cop who was sitting there waiting for somebody to try to engage in such activity. And then, as we pointed out, one of the greatest quotes in the history of political quotes, this was from Larry Craig after more and more people in Idaho, where he was a senator, came out and said, oh, yeah, no, Larry's gay. I've had sex with Gary. He responded with this, quote, I'm not gay, and I don't cruise, and I don't hit on men. I don't go around anywhere hitting on men, and by God, if I did, I wouldn't do it in Boise. Jiminy. He said Jiminy. It's part of the quote. It's pretty fucking amazing. So, who won between FDR and Larry Craig? Oh, my God. What an upset. I thought for sure that FDR would advance. No. He's a wide guy, but it was a thin margin, 56% to 43%. Larry Craig advances in the gay bracket. Jiminy! We also had the new media bracket that we voted on. This was Anthony Weiner versus Chris Lee. Anthony Weiner really needs no introduction. Got busted sexting not once, not twice, but thrice, and very credibly might be the reason why Donald Trump is the president of the United States, considering the last time he was doing it with a minor, which reopened an FBI investigation into not only his, or opened an FBI investigation into his behavior, which then looped in a laptop that he shared with his wife, who was on the Hillary Clinton campaign and also worked in the State Department, which then reopened their probe into Hillary Clinton's private email server, yada, yada, yada. Anthony Weiner trounces Chris Lee, who was dumb enough to put a picture of him with his face and shredded abs on Craigslist when he was trying to head out there and cheat. And that's before we even get into Carlos Danger with Anthony Weiner. So Anthony Weiner just cruises 94% to the second round of the American Sex Scandals bracket, which leaves us with our final first-round matchup that we were voting on last week, Elliot Spitzer and Mark Foley. Elliot Spitzer, of course, client number 9, one of the most famous falls from graces. He was the governor of New York. When he tried to prepay for a hooker service in the amount of $10,000. He then realized a little bit after that, oh shit, if it's $10,000, then I have to report it because that's the legal limit of when I need to report an expenditure. So let me call my bank and cancel the wire transfer. Oh, shit. Then the bank thought he was being extorted, so they called the IRS. The IRS started looking into it and discovered that he was a fan of hookers. Oh, no. Of course, Mark Foley was the Republican congressman who greasily slid into the IMs of many of his pages, asking them how big their dicks were and which way they leaned and whether or not they had worked out that day. What a creeper. Elliot Spitzer trounces Mark Foley to the tune of 83% to 16. That means that in our next matchups in those two brackets, it will be Jim McGreevey versus Larry Craig, and in the battle for New York, it is Anthony Weiner versus Elliot Spitzer. But wait, a lot of you guys weren't aware of the voting being open last week. Then get your ass to @ContenderGame on Twitter, where you can take part in the voting for all the matchups that are live right now, including Bill Clinton. Oh, the Lewinsky scandal? I don't even need to mention shit. How about, I have to do this here. I know many of you guys might not have listened to the live show, but I got to go ahead and do my To the Tune of Alexander Hamilton. Who is the founding father who got hot and bothered, coughed up some fat stacks to cover up his dick tracks? Alexander Hamilton. That is a big money, man. That's a main event anywhere in the world. Bill Clinton versus Alexander Hamilton. That is now up for vote at Contender Game. How about also in the affairs bracket, Mark Sanford versus Newt Gingrich? John Edwards is the number 1 seed of the Love Children bracket. John Edwards versus Jason Miller. John Edwards, and how about this? Grover Cleveland and Strom Thurmond. I will link these brackets for you at Contender Game. All the different voting is available for you right now at Contender Game on Twitter. And of course, a reminder that we have a mini expansion for the game based on all these cases available right now at thecontender.us. All right, let's get our heads out of the gutters, right? Let's get our heads out of the gutters. Let's focus on what really makes an election. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the only statistical analysis that matters. This is a Missouri Senate.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Dance, 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 dance.
That booty.
This is a Gravis poll taken from March 5th to March 7th with 931 registered voters with a 3.2 margin of error. Again, this is the Missouri Senate race. Coming up first to the stage, the Republican with 40% of the vote. Give a big round of applause for Josh Howley. How low can Howley go? But please clear the way for your headliner. She is the incumbent. It is the Democrat riding that donkey, Claire McCaskill.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
42%. Folks, that is only a 2-point spread. within the margin of error. Remember when I said that we were continually looking because we had our eyes on a wave watch? If this is going to happen in the Senate, the Claire McCaskills of the world got to pitch a perfect game. They all got to win, which is why the Senate is a lot dicier than the House. Let's go ahead and get into our emails. Ladies and gentlemen, it is But Your Emails. That is, you go ahead and send them. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Again, TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. David writes, thank the maker that PA 18 is over. I was getting sick of the ads for the election in the next congressional district. Also, another close Republican loss. This time to another moderate Democrat whose Republican opponent wasn't as bad as Roy Moore. I'm thinking the Dems need to localize who they're running. Very liberal in cities and moderates and pro-working man folks in more conservative areas. Not sure that would how that would translate to a 2020 presidential candidate. By the way, continued stormy weather ahead. Ahoy. Look, all politics is local, man. And it's hard when the national eye of Sauron kind of passes by things because these are local areas. You know, they're pandering to local concerns. So if, Connor Lamb is not sufficiently pro-choice, that's kind of the point in PA 18. Sean writes, I was curious if anyone in the audience knew if Delta could sue the state of Georgia over the retaliation they faced from parting ways with the NRA. It seems very wrong to penalize a private company for not giving discounts to a nonprofit. Yeah, I mean, look, it was the state of Georgia, some asshole politician trying to score points with strong Second Amendment voters by trying to take back state givebacks to Delta, who, by the way, does a lot for the state of Georgia, considering they've made Atlanta Hartsfield one of the busiest airports by running it as a major hub for them. So it's not illegal. It's fucking politics. Oh, it's the lieutenant governor. Sorry. I'm not super up on that one. And Jerome writes, as I started this email, you brought up the answer to your own question about North Korea. China. North Korea doesn't do shit without China saying so. My assumption, based on 20 years as a Pacific Theater-focused intel officer, fucking A. God damn it. I mean, I'll never get over this. I'll never get over the fact that we have the smartest, dumb goddamn show about politics you have ever heard on the motherfucking internet. I just come screaming and yelling like I'm a strip club DJ. I'm talking about Larry Craig's wide stance. I'm bringing up FDR's, gay sex sting in 1919. And I got motherfucking Jerome. 20 years studying the Pacific Theater as an intel officer. Love it. His assumption, based on his experience, is that China is pulling the strings with the goal of getting Trump to drop the tariffs against China. I can easily see it being portrayed as a national, nay, international security win, and thereby worth the cost of eliminating the tariffs, which nobody really wants anyway. Look, and these are kind of the deals that Trump wants to make, by the way. He wants to say, look, I went to China. I got China to actually rein in North Korea to have them stop testing fucking missiles every 5 seconds. And, we gave back a little bit on the trade balance. It's the deal. The art of the deal. You might have heard of it. I wrote the book. Politics. Folks, thank you guys so much for listening. I want to let everybody know that you can email this show, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Just go ahead and write me in about whatever you want. Music has been provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. You can follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere. And, of course, download the archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. A reminder, thecontender.us, new American sex scandals bracket expansion available to you. And if you want to vote on all the matchups that are open right now, then go ahead and do it at Contender Game on Twitter. Again, at Contender Game on Twitter. Go now, because by the time you next hear my voice, those bracket challenges will be closed. Till next time, my name is Justin Robert Young, a.k.a. Nugstradamus, a.k.a. the Wave Watcher, a.k.a. the man who not only cares about politics, he cares about politics, and he even cares about some other shit you might have heard called politics. Folks, this is the only show that gives a fuck about all three. I will see you guys next week.
Come on.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.